Hello, good day. Let's talk about unit number 6, tips for learning. Learning or studying for any type of activity, whether it is for academic or preparation of presentation or a report in the workplace, is not easy. It is then best if we strive to develop certain strategies or techniques that we can rely on to better prepare ourselves. So for this topic, we will be looking at common strategies on improving learning. This includes making notes, studying with others, keeping a learning journal, getting acquainted with books and other study materials, develop your memory using memory techniques, and identifying your learning style. First, we have make notes. As we have discussed before, making notes is used to jot down important details during a discussion, and it is very helpful as we can use it to gain an overview of what you are studying and will be an invaluable help when reviewing for exams. However, we must always remember that taking notes is not just simply writing down everything shown or written in a presentation or everything the lecturer or the speaker is saying. We must learn to discern what is important. When listening, a speaker tends to put emphasis on important information by slowing down or stressing on the words. In presentations or written form, important information are mostly found at the beginning of paragraphs and likely to be highlighted. Though there are times that topics are shown in the presentation and the speaker gives the explanation. So make sure to pay attention to what the speaker has to say to understand the topic at hand. After taking notes, organizing the information takes priority. The best way to organize them is by grouping them under which topic they explain. Organizing information helps in reviewing your notes, identifying which one is complete and which one lacks more information. This also helps identify the things or which topic you need to be clarified. Remember that taking notes is not about writing everything down. It is about understanding what is important. Moving on, study with others. Learning or studying with others is directly affected or linked by our personality. For example, I, for one, is an introvert person, which means that I'm not really good with socializing with people I'm not acquainted with. But for extrovert persons, this would be an easier task for them. Like I said, some of us prefer to learn or study alone as it is easier to manage distractions. But cliche as it may sound, we have to admit that two heads are better than one. With that said, studying with others provide pleasant and useful from the perspective of learning. With diverse members in the group, we can also expect different approaches to the same problem. This allows us to further our understanding or view of the same topic. Moreover, it is said that it is better to have someone to talk with when studying as it helps stimulate our brain. Next, exploring or dissecting a topic is much easier in groups as one person can only cover so much or pinpoint some information but may not be able to cover everything. This is where your groupmates come in. They can observe details you were not able to. This type of interaction allows the group to develop more questions that can become critical in understanding the topic at hand. And lastly, we must accept that we have our own limitations. There are some information or there are some things that you cannot do or understand, which is why studying with others gives us the opportunity to pick other people's brain and ask them to clarify the things that we are not able to understand. Moving on, we have learning or keeping a learning journal. A learning journal can be compared to a diary, where you can write information about your day-to-day activities. However, unlike a diary which contains important or personal events, a learning journal contains your day-to-day learning progress. So what must be included in our learning journal? First, this should contain your thoughts and observe your own progress. This pertains to what you have learned in different areas, information about important topics, and the progress of learning. This enables you to keep track of the things that you have learned, what are the things you must learn next, and this also provides a material as your learning reference in the future. Also, it must also include your insights, perceptions, and questions about what you have learned. This includes your own explanation or interpretation of the accumulated data that you have gathered and questions about topics that needs to be clarified. This gives you a clear picture of what steps should you take to further your learning. Moving on, always get acquainted with books and other study materials. In general, books can provide us a ton of information from any or different genres. However, having knowledge of books must not be limited in one specific area only. We must learn to immerse ourselves in exploring content of other books or references. This allows us to widen our knowledge and understanding. Moving on, read the book slowly and thoroughly. Browsing each one or each pages from cover to cover of all the books would be very demanding, which is why it is important to understand and know which books should we use as references. When reading, especially online, it is common for the author to indicate his or her reference materials. This helps us determine which books should we read when we need more details. Also, we must learn to read slowly and thoroughly. Remember that finishing a book fast does not ensure comprehending its content, but if we are only looking for certain information, we can use scanning, skipping, or skimming. Scanning means to move your eyes and be mindful and give mindful attention quickly over a paragraph or a section in search for a particular piece of information. For example, you are searching for an answer for a specific question, like you are searching for a name, a date, a place, or a definition. Then it means that you don't really need to read the content of the whole text. You're just going to try to find those specific information. Then we have skipping. This means to actively choose not to read a particular text or a portion of the text. This is effective if the specific information that we are looking for is located at a specific page or we know exactly where it is located. For example, you are looking for the meaning of the word book. It is then practical to skip some pages and find the specific page where the meaning of the word book is located. Or we can also use skimming. And unlike scanning and skipping, which is used to find specific information, skimming is used to have a broad understanding of the text's content. This means that we are going to read quickly for surface level comprehension or to get an overall sense of the piece. Lastly, when reading books, we must not only focus on understanding the concepts presented. We must also figure out and relate it to our daily life, which means that we need to relate it to things that we can practically use it for. And for example, we want to learn about medicine, but we don't really know which topic to begin with, then why not listing or having an objective? Like you want to learn medicine that can be useful for first aid. This allows you to narrow down the topic or the type of book you should be reading. Moving on, we have develop your memory using memory techniques. Techniques or practices that work well for most or some do not necessarily mean that they will also be suited for us. For example, some can memorize text by reading them repeatedly, while some need to make notes or keywords. So let's look at different ways or techniques that we can explore to improve our memorization capability. First, create and use existing acronyms. Acronym is an abbreviation formed from the initial letters of the other words and pronounced as one word. This simply means shortening a group of words using their first or second letters. For example, instead of repeatedly saying Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, why not simply use HTTPS? It is easier and it is shorter. Next, remembering a number. Remembering a number sequence is easier if we split the sequence up into shorter sequences or by grouping them. One common example for this is remembering our contact numbers. Instead of remembering it as a whole number as 091234567889, why not split them into groups like 091234567889? Or we can also use meaningful association. Let's take the same grouping and then give a representation for each. Like 0912 pertains to your house number, 34 is your age, 56 is your height, and then 789 maybe is a corny joke because 789. Next, we can also use or read aloud. A research published in the journal Memory finds that the act of reading and speaking text aloud at the same time is more effective to remember information than reading it silently or just hearing it being read aloud. The dual effect of both speaking and hearing helps encode the memories more strongly. This means that hearing what you are saying heightens your ability to memorize or remember things. Now, I know that this may seem embarrassing to do, especially in public places, but if it helps and it is effective, then just do it. But make sure to tone it down, not to distract other people. And lastly, identify your learning style. We have discussed this before, and we have to always remember to identify and understand your learning style, such as maybe you're accommodating, assimilating, converging, or maybe you're a kinesthetic, visual, or auditory. Knowing this will greatly help you understand which type or kind of learning or studying is best suited for you. For example, if you are a visual learner like me, it is best to have a visual representation of what you are learning, such as using flashcards. Or if you are an accommodating or kinesthetic learner, you will learn better by doing practical applications of what you learn. Okay? So those are your different strategies on improving learning. Thank you and good day.